And so as he sat there crying on the sidewalk outside the bar, I picked up his Maple Leaf flag for him. And I said, hey, brother, if this makes you feel any better, an American team has also won the Grey Cup more recently than a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup. This is the Garden Level Podcast.
This is hockey right here.
Bruins! Whoa! 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 Whoa!
There it is. Garden Level Podcast. Dan Conlon, Cam Stewart, Rogue Media Sports Network. Man, we will talk Bruins today because the Bruins are back. The Olympic break is over, and it's over in the best possible way because there's a couple of Americans here feeling pretty good about ourselves. Feeling pretty good. Dan, we did say before the season, this might be the only bit of hockey that we get happiness out of all season. Now, a little wrong because the Bruins have been better than we thought, but wow. This has been a fun week of hockey, and there's been no NHL.
The Bruins haven't been able to make us mad. Haven't been able to make us happy either, but I'm looking at the positive where haven't been upset about the Bruins, and it's been 46 years in the making. We've been knocking at the door for that long, and we finally opened the door, and now we're golden. So it's I will say, let's start off with this. Is this your second happiest hockey moment in your lifetime as an American Bruins fan?
Yeah. Like I had the thought this is so douchey in a way, Dan, but you and I, being Boston sports fans, the times that we've grown up in, we've got a lot of championship moments to choose from. And I was thinking this might creep into like my top 5 sports moments. Like that was really awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, I am, as you know, kind of a BU fan. I didn't go to BU. I've rooted for them for a while. They won it all when I was 11. And it was that dramatic game. They came back from 2 goals down in third period. That was really cool and everything. But this, we've kind of felt some of the pain from this, Dan, which we can't say with all our teams. We didn't go through the 86 years with the Red Sox. But like we kind of went through a lot of this. That loss to Canada in 2014, the gold medal game loss in 2010, the Four Nations loss. Like we have gotten ourselves hyped up for this a couple of times and have been left super disappointed. And this kind of felt like it's finally our time. Finally our time.
As a Boston fan who roots for hockey, if you're one of those people, this is one of the teams that you haven't seen one yet in your lifetime.
Yes.
You weren't around during the 1980s. So it's kind of weird saying that as a Boston fan, hey, this team didn't win yet. But I think you just got that sigh of relief, like, hey, it finally happened. When it went to overtime, I was getting flashbacks of Crosby's goal that we had to rewatch thousands of times.
Yep.
And I just was mentally preparing myself for like, now it's going to be like a McDavid one again that we have to watch.
Dude, I had that same thought of like, I was telling my fiance, I was like, man, like we've had to watch that Crosby goal so much. Like, I don't know if I can handle another one. Like I have successfully blocked a lot of the McDavid highlights from Four Nations. I know it happened right in front of you, so you probably couldn't. But like I'm just like, at least now we have our own, right? We'll see the Crosby one forever, but now we've got our own. And I was like pissing my pants thinking about that situation. Like we're just gonna have another one of these moments. Another one.
And the way the game was going, like as a US fan, you could say it. They dominated that game, especially towards the end. They had their chances.
Yeah.
Canada did. They certainly could have won that thing. They had their opportunities. So it wasn't just, saying, oh, Canada's going to win just because it's going to happen again. But they were actually playing very well. And what a game from Hellebuck. He played his mind off. He came up clutch. He definitely proved the doubters wrong. And I think this is a just thinking about like how many people on the U.S. team besides like Matthew Tkachuk, they haven't won anything in their NHL career. Like you're looking at the Matthews, the Larkins, the Hellebucks, the
Mhm.
McAvoys. This is like their you know proudest moment of their NHL career to date. So a lot of people that
And some of
got
those guys will not win the cup.
yeah,
Like, you know,
spe-
some of them won't ever do it.
if
This
you
might be the peak for some of these guys.
yeah, especially if you stay in Toronto like that, you're just
Yeah.
not going to win it.
Winnipeg.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. Was
yeah,
there
so
anyone more sick than Winnipeg Jets fans, by the way? Like
uh, ma-
Hellebuck, while he's
I was gonna
not
say
been the
maybe
only
Toronto.
issue, but yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I was just thinking Winnipeg, Hellebuck's 1-6 in elimination games in his career there, and he just goes absolutely nuclear against like the one fallback team that you have as a Winnipeg Jets fan. Like Canada always comes through, and then Hellebuck dicks them. Yeah, but Toronto, same thing, right? With Matthews, who did play really well in the tournament. I know the numbers, the scoring numbers weren't ideal, weren't great, but I thought he was awesome in that gold medal game, actually, defensively, much like he was at the Four Nations. And he did catch a lot of heat in the Four Nations because of the missed chances. But I think he was good defensively in that tournament. I thought he was really good defensively in this game and won a big puck battle for that Boldy goal, too.
Yeah, and I add to the Toronto thing. Yeah, he played very good, and he's I think playing today for them. I thought he was going to catch some heat if he wasn't able to play in his Toronto game due to being hungover or
A little hungover. Yeah.
traveling. But also Marner scored in overtime for them, so I'm sure they obviously were happy.
Marner,
They're
bro,
Canadians.
Marner, man, I said this the other day. I think I tweeted it out. I was like, it's just so funny that like he had so many chances to be, and Matthews too, right? But Marner had so many chances to be a folk hero for the Leafs, so many, and was just ass in every big game they ever played in. And yet, like you see what he's done for Canada. Like every tournament, he scores a huge goal for them. You know, he assisted on the McDavid one in the final last year. He scored an overtime winner in the first game of the Four Nations, scores a sick overtime winner in the Olympics. Like, I think he scored one of the World Juniors that was a big overtime winner. Like, he has like 15 of these moments for Canada. And 10 years in Toronto, he can't put a single one together. Kind of the same with Matthews, except without the iconic moments for the USA, but he's got a gold medal for the USA.
Yeah, and I'm
So,
happy for him. It's weird seeing Matthews and Kachuk at a club partying together. Like as an NHL fan, you're like, when would that ever happen? Especially with the players not being in the Olympics for
yeah.
this amount of time. It's not something we're used to. But the team definitely celebrated. They deserved it. I can't think of a better like 2 day span where you win a gold medal in Italy, you go party in Italy, and then you end up in Miami.
It's not bad.
Continuing that. That's not a
I
bad
think
2
I think they
day.
might have enjoyed themselves a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who do you think had the most fun on the team? Obviously, I think Miller might be the favorite right now looking at that picture.
Mhm.
Dylan Larkin was having some fun too. He looked like
He deserves it, man. What a friggin' player that guy is, man.
he's
Still
awesome. He
underrated because
deserved
he's
it.
never played a playoff game. This is a very quick aside, man. I think the team I might be low key most worried about in the Atlantic is the Red Wings.
Yeah.
Uh, because I thought Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond were two of the best players I watched in the tournament. Like Raymond kind of carried Sweden. He was their best player, I think, throughout. And Larkin was nails again, like he was in the Four Nations last year. That guy just does everything. I mean, he does
Mhm.
everything. He's a face-off machine. He's great on the penalty kill. He's a point a game NHL guy, you know, super skilled offensively. He hops in on that Kachuk Eichel line in Matthews' spot in the third period of the gold medal game. Like he does everything they ask of him. I kind of likened him to what Steve Yzerman was in the latter half of his career when they were winning cups. So I mean, Detroit has got some old guy stuff they got to figure out at the trade deadline, but like that's a team where I'm like, if these dudes get there, Larkin and Raymond can win them a playoff series. But anyway, that wasn't the
It'll,
question. That wasn't the
it'll
question.
be a, it'll be an interesting playoffs this year when you have teams like the Red Wings who haven't made in a while. the Sabres who haven't made it in a while. Teams that are currently in the playoffs, they could end their droughts, and it'll be fun. It'll be nice to see these teams in there instead of the Maple Leafs or Panthers.
Because, by the
And
way, that's good American hockey momentum.
that
Remember, we
is,
talked about this last week. Like in 2010, you had a bunch of good American teams in the playoffs making deep playoff runs with Chicago, Philadelphia in the final after that silver medal. You didn't have that last year, right? None of the major American markets made the playoffs, like none of them.
mhm.
LA, but not a major hockey market, right? But now you could get some of that. Not Chicago or Philadelphia or New York, of course, but Boston and Pittsburgh's not gonna get there, but Detroit, Buffalo is not a huge market, but a good hockey market. So it'll be pretty interesting, man.
Yeah, and it's funny. Speaking of playoff teams, we were just showing a picture of JT Miller. That's not a playoff team.
It's not a
So that's
playoff team,
definitely
man.
that's JT Miller's.
Not a playoff
That's gonna be
team.
JT Miller's highlight of the season.
That is the captain of
Right,
a non-playoff team.
that is the captain. But hey, he shout out to the PK. 100%.
Yeah.
They did their job. And I think there was a lot of, we had some doubt about Matthews this tournament. He proved us wrong. You know, the PK proved us wrong. They didn't prove us wrong, but they did their job
I was surprised to
100%
see
of the
18
time.
for 18,
Yep.
especially with a minute 33 of 5-on-3 against Canada. Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to them. They did their job. There were some Jack Hughes question marks. Some people didn't think he should make the team after the way he played in Four Nations. Well, he sure proved us wrong. So
Oh, yeah.
we got a lot of the doubters got proved wrong this tournament, whether it was the roster decisions, which if you had Roberts on the team, I think he still probably win. But
Yeah.
um,
And
yeah,
it
it
helps
was
that you
a
won the 2 3-on-3 overtimes because you did leave the most prolific 3-on-3 scorer on at home in Cole Caulfield. So I'd still
yeah.
take that guy over Kyle Connor the next time they pick a team. That's 2 straight tournaments that Kyle Connor has done shit. I guess we'll get to that in a minute. But one last quick thing on JT Miller. I said this to no one in particular, so I can't prove this at all. But I said, I saw some picture of JT Miller when they were playing Freebird in the locker room, like right after the game. And I just had this thought. I was like, JT Miller was definitely the dude on the team who was like, why does this need to be our song? We lost with it last year. You know what we should do is Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue by Toby Keith. Like, this was my exact thought, Dan. This was the sick thought in my head. And then at Club 11, JT Miller is a cappella singing Courtesy of the Red, White, and Blue by Toby Keith. I was like, I fucking knew it, man. I knew it. I don't know why. I just knew it. Good for him and Trocheck because they will not have a moment like this for a while in hockey.
That's what I'm saying. A lot of people
Yeah.
aren't gonna have. This is gonna be the highlight of their career, as it should. Winning a gold medal for the U.S. That should be the highlight of your career. Obviously, some people win Stanley Cups too, but not everyone does. So I was happy for McAvoy. You saw what he was going through. For Four Nations, losing the Stanley Cup in 2019, just all the playoff losses we've witnessed the past.
Yeah, man, this should be a moment here, actually, to talk about Charlie McAvoy, dude. Like, the 2019 loss and 2023 having the best team ever, like those stuff for sure. But like, this is a dude who's in his prime, number one defenseman. Let's just look at the last year that Charlie McAvoy has had, right? With having to leave the Four Nations early after being great in the first 2 games, having an injury that was kind of shaky. He has to go to the hospital, viral infection, misses that championship game that they lose. The Bruins suck. They're trading half of his teammates away, some of his good friends away. No idea what the team's going to look like going into this year. He recovers from the injury. He gets another injury, where he breaks his jaw. He gets this brutally illegal hit put on him right before the Olympics that nothing happens to, who is it, Valinskis, for the Panthers. Nothing happens to him. And he's got to have that uncertainty of like, am I concussed here? Can I play in the Olympics after all that we've done? And I thought he was awesome in the tournament. He had one bad drop pass in the gold medal game, didn't lead to a goal. He also kept a goal out of the net in that game. So and he's been awesome for the Bruins this year. He's been great for the Bruins this year. So Dan, this last year for Charlie McAvoy and having a kid, talking about going through it all, man. This might be the year of Charlie McAvoy.
I hope so, and I hope it keeps it going. But like you said, I'm just very happy for him. What he went through the past year has been crazy. Not everyone can do it. A lot of people probably
Oh,
wouldn't be playing the amount of games he still played. But I was a little nervous when he took the bubble off because he honestly was playing great with it on, and obviously I didn't want another injury to happen to him. There was a few injuries that were happening in the Olympics where I'm like, all right, like the Fiala, Crosby, Morrissey, Hedman. I'm like, just please don't give me another McAvoy injury. And I don't know if you thought this too, but it seemed like he waited to the knockout stage to bring his kind of physicality. I'm not sure if
which we
that's
saw big in
because
the Four Nations last year.
which we saw in the Four Nations, but he was really throwing the body around in the knockout stage, which could be just up in intensity. Maybe he was a little hurt still from that elbow to his head, and he wasn't as physical. But I think he knows when it's time. I'm not sure who said it, but they were expecting McAvoy to come out maybe in the championship game with a huge hit, just because he always does that, whether it's the Reinhardt hit, the Aho hit. He does it when the team needs it. He did play very physical, and there's a lot of pictures of him, checking Slovakian people into their bench. But I thought he played amazing. I'm really happy for him. And hopefully this confidence carries over into the Bruins this year. He stays healthy the rest of the year. He's having a career year. He could, surpass his career high in points if he stays. Just I know he missed a few games, but I think he has a chance to, surpass his career high in points. So hopefully this continues into the NHL season for him. Hopefully he's ready to go tomorrow. I'm not sure after seeing the
Yeah,
videos of him the past few
big
days if
game. Yeah.
he'll be ready. But yeah, shout out Charlie McAvoy. What a year for him.
Have yourself a year, man. And I think we learned once again at these Olympics the kind of partner that really unleashes Charlie McAvoy. Now, I know it would be great to just have Quinn Hughes on your team, right? That would be sick. Just having Quinn Hughes out there. But to have kind of a dynamic offensive guy on your top pairing, and I know, man, every team wants that. It's so much easier said than done. It would be like saying, yeah, man, it would be awesome to add a 50 home run guy to the middle of your lineup. I get that. But we see when Charlie McAvoy, even though he has the skill of a number one defenseman, when he's a number two defenseman, that's when he's probably at his best, right? That's where he can take some chances, play with some reckless abandon, really affect the game physically. And again, you saw that the Four Nations last year in those two games, and you saw it in the Olympics this year in a tournament which doesn't lend itself to as much body checking as the NHL does. I mean, it's kind of funny, Dan. We talked about going into this season, which of those two guys should be the captain, right? McAvoy or Pasternak, and it was so close, splitting hairs that we're like, yeah, maybe it should just be Zadorov. Maybe it should be Andrew Peak, as one guy mentioned. But they've both been captainly this year, both of them in their play with McAvoy and David Pasternak. They have both been captain material. And I would say a small portion of the fan base was down on McAvoy at the beginning of this year. I was kind of down on McAvoy at the beginning of this year, to be honest. I just didn't know, with a couple of big injuries, what he was going to be like, what his offensive game was going to be like going forward. But you said it, he's on pace to have his most prolific offensive season of his career. And, I don't know how much that changes for this team this year. I don't know how much it raises their bar, but you do look at the next couple of years as you do a retool and you say, Charlie McAvoy's still our guy. He's still our dude in the top pairing. If we can get Quinn Hughes, sure. But he's still our dude in the top pairing. And now he's got a major notch on his belt for his resume, for his career.
It's crazy. McAvoy was getting some hate from Bruins fans earlier in the year, obviously because some injuries. whenever you sign a big contract, and honestly, it's 9 million a year isn't a lot compared to
Yeah,
what
now,
Jason
right?
Tatum making $60 million a
Or
year.
that.
But
Yeah.
um, whenever you sign a big contract in Boston, people are just going to automatically try to hate you. That just happens. It's to the best of everyone. But we had people in our comments saying trade McAvoy, get rid of McAvoy, which is crazy because he is what he is, and he's shown it in the past 2 3 months. He is a true number one defenseman. He was the second best defenseman on this team, this Olympic gold medal team. Uh, Mike Sullivan trusted him. He trusted
Who?
him.
That's his father-in-law, by the way. Did you hear that?
I
Did
had
you hear
not
Kenny
I'd never
Albert
heard that
mention that?
before. That's the first time I'm hearing that, but that's
Kenny,
crazy. But,
Kenny.
it's crazy. I hope Bruins fans appreciate him a lot more now because, like I said, people were saying to get rid of him because his cap hits too high and he gets injured too much, but he's making the same as, Luke Hughes right now,
Mhm.
who wasn't at the Olympics,
That's
the Hughes brother
that's
that was not at the
crazy, by the
Olympics.
way. That's crazy.
But
Yeah.
$9 million a year for a number one defenseman is true value, and they've gotten good contracts with Pasta and McAvoy just because they happened a few years ago when the cap was a little bit lower. But uh, I hope Bruins fans, I don't want to hear any more trade McAvoy rumors. He's your number one defenseman for the next 5 years or so, hopefully more if things go well. And him and Pasta having them locked up long term. Speaking of Quinn Hughes, imagine being a Canucks fan watching the Quinn Hughes tournament he had. Like we're fortunate to have our core guys locked up wanting to play here because
Yeah.
it would be bad if you see Mitch Marner and Quinn Hughes and Jack Eichel laying up this tournament, and you're like, oh wow, he used to play for us, but we trade him because he just didn't want to be here, and the fans didn't want him. So,
That's
yeah, no more trade McAvoy rumors. Let's get rid of that. I think we should put that to rest.
probably. I did float one idea in the summer, but I wasn't really married to it. It was a Mason McTavish thing. But I think the other thing, last thing on McAvoy is like he's also, and this kind of relates back to the whole US team. He's part of that core, that group, right? Like those national development team guys. Um, that program, the USNTDP, there we go. That's the reason why the US won the gold medal. And ironically enough, I don't know that Connor Hellebuck was even part of that. So that's kind of funny. But the rise of that program the last 15 years is why the Americans are as good as they are right now. And McAvoy is firmly a part of that. Matthews, obviously, Eichel, the Kachucks, both Hughes. Like Jack Hughes might be your US NTDP poster child, right? It's a guy who didn't play college hockey, he didn't play in major juniors. He played for the National Development Program through his draft year and was drafted number 1 overall and is supposed to be the next Patrick Kane. And like there are some questions still about Jack Hughes in an NHL playoff and his availability and whether he can carry a team, but damned if he didn't just have an iconic American hockey moment that the 2042 Olympians will be saying, yeah, that's the moment I remember. That's the moment that really wanted me to play for this team. And Charlie McAvoy's a part of that group. And it's a big, hefty group, man. But fuck, what a team.
Do you think they'll make a movie out of this?
The funny thing
Miracle to
is, the funny thing is they kind of could. It's not obviously the story that Miracle is necessarily, but that game, Dan, that game felt like a movie. Like that felt like a movie playing out in front of us.
I think
With
they could make a movie about that Olympics because yeah, obviously you had the Sweden game, which was great.
yeah,
You could add the Club 11 aspect to it. That's a good way to
yeah,
end it. But if you look at it, obviously, if you make it about the US team, which you should, they won gold, but that tournament in a whole was crazy. Team Canada, greatest team probably assembled when you look at that roster and the talent they
that
had.
roster. Yeah,
They dominated the group stage, and then in the knockout stage, in 3 games, they only led for 6 minutes and 5 seconds, which is kind of crazy. Watching the Czech game, and they were losing with was it 6 minutes left,
mm-hmm.
and then the Finland game they're losing with 10 minutes left. As a fan, obviously I want the U.S. to win, and if they play a team like Finland or the Czech, I feel like they would be more likely to win as opposed to playing Canada. But at the same time, I'm curious what your thoughts were when they were losing these games with like 10 minutes left. Were you like actively rooting for them, or were you rooting for? Did you want that rematch? It's hard to say like you wanted Canada to
Actively
win.
rooting. Yeah. Yeah. It was a rock and a hard place, man, because both times I was like, man, this would be really funny if Canada loses. Especially that first one where I was like, they're not going to medal. Like they're if they don't get a medal, that is hilarious. That would be the next best thing after beating them in the final. But I was like, nah, we want to get after them, man. It felt like the 86 Celtics in their documentary were all pissed off because they didn't play the Lakers, played the Rockets in the NBA finals. So that's kind of how I felt, man. I don't know about you, but I was like, it would be hilarious if they lose, but I kind of need that. I need that rematch. 04 Red Sox, dude. You need them a year later.
It makes it that much better. I think Hughes said that in his post game interview. Like we wanted to beat Canada this tournament. Like we had to, just because what happened last year and what happened historically. Like this win was for the 2002 team, for the 2010 team, even the Four Nations team last year, and me in the crowd. Like that was for us.
Yeah. That
I'm
was
including
for
myself in that.
that was for the guys, for the Americans
that
who were
was
sitting in the Canadian family section at
that
the
was for
Four
the guy
Nations
sitting in
final.
Loge 10 in the Canadian section. Like that's who Jack Hughes was thinking of when he scored that. Surprised I didn't get a shout out at the post game interview, but I'll
Kind
talk
of
to him about that
unbelievable.
later.
Yeah.
But I was rooting. It would have been I was rooting for Pasternak. Like if Pasternak was
Good
able
point.
to
He
knock
was
out
great in that game,
Canada,
by the way.
great in that game.
Yep.
I even had some ammo loaded up if Czech was able to come up with that upset. I was putting together some stuff on Twitter
Oh
with
no.
5 minutes
Not
left.
this, Dan. Not this.
Um, this was gonna be tweeted if the Czechs pulled off the upset. I had that locked and loaded. I had that
Just
image from Pasternak owning the Leafs. I had a
yeah, I
picture of
was just gonna
it's that
ask
same
who
one.
are we taking off it? Matthews and
We took off
okay, so it
Matthews
was
and
the Leafs.
Nylander.
Okay.
Yeah, it was we took off Matthews and Nylander and we added McDavid and McKinnon. That was locked and loaded if the Czechs pulled off the upset, and I was not able to post that, so I'm giving a shout out to it now. That would have been that did a lot of good numbers with Toronto, so I think that would have been pretty good. But shout
This
out,
is like that article that Boston Globe thing when they had the
yeah,
thing printed out before the Patriots came back against the Falcons. Like this is it. This is one of the greatest what if stories ever that we don't get to put this out in that
yeah.
moment.
But speaking of McDavid, what do you think? You gotta feel for the guy. He's
I
lost
mean,
two
yeah.
cups
Yeah.
and a gold medal in the span of 2 years.
I do feel for him because I am a huge McDavid fan. Like being totally honest, I love the guy. I love watching him play. I was rooting for the Oilers both of those Cup finals, obviously. And it's weird, he's got the Four Nations overtime winner, and I think Four Nations just won't. I think the more we get this best on best, it just won't be remembered for what it was. But at the time, I mean, we put a lot of stock into that. We were way into that tournament, and I was gutted that they lost, and McDavid kind of had that moment. But yeah, now it's not really remembered. This is a guy who's won two tournament MVPs for tournaments he did not win, right? The Conn Smythe and now this at the Olympics. And I don't want to say he was invisible out there in the gold medal game. I think that's disingenuous, but it didn't look like Connor McDavid. Not really. And he was on the ice for both the U.S. goals, if I'm not mistaken, definitely the overtime one. But that's the thing that kind of is interesting about Canada in general is like they did dominate most of that game. But then I hear them bitching about 3-on-3. And I don't love 3-on-3 and knockout games either. Like I don't. I think it's kind of wild for a game of that magnitude. But they won a 3-on-3 overtime to get there. So did the U.S. And like, bro, if you were gonna pick any three players to put on the frickin' ice in a gold medal game in a 3-on-3, it's no question who you would pick. Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, and Cale Makar. Those were the guys on the ice. Like that's where we're like, man, you can't talk about this or the blatantly missed too many men on the ice call. Like when you get McDavid, McKinnon, and Makar on the ice at even strength, I'm sorry, you don't have another excuse. You don't. And so that goes for McDavid and that goes for McKinnon, who was great in this tournament, but he's going to be thinking about this. That wide open net
That's
after
bad.
he snuck one in off the skate to beat Finland the round before. It was a beautiful shot, and then he misses this. Like, you can pull all the excuses you want, Canada, but this from your biggest dogs is kind of what got you there. I know Makar scored the goal in the gold medal game, but those three on the ice were there, and McKinnon lost the puck battle on both goals. He lost it to Matthews when he had position, as Matthews kind of poked it up to Boldy, and he had the angle once again on Werenski. Could have gotten possession back for Canada. That could have been a nothing play. Instead, Werenski absolutely bodies him off the puck. Good old American grit, and then slides it over to Hughes for the game winner. So, yeah, McDavid and McKinnon. Like, I think those were two guys who were obviously great in the tournament, but did not come through for you. Did not come through for you in the gold medal game. And now, Dan, as harsh as it may be, McKinnon's got a cup, so I don't know if we could say it about him, but Connor McDavid, best player in the world, right now, he's seen as a choke artist. He is seen as, LeBron before the Heat. Oh, that may be unfair. LeBron's teams were kind of ass around him. Like, McDavid has Draisaitl on his team. And he has Team Canada. Like, right now, Connor McDavid, while the best player in the world, is a choke artist.
Yeah, and I think Biz put it. I'm a McDavid fan. I don't know how you can really hate the guy. Like he just
Yeah, I
says
don't
what
like that
he
he's a
doesn't
choke
say
artist
anything.
outside of
He
this.
doesn't say anything that makes you hate him. But he's obviously the best player in the league. But I think Biz put it right where I kind of thought the same. Where Ovechkin was a loser until he won, and
Yes.
he didn't win till later in his career, but I think this will be the same with McDavid. Right now, if you look at his resume, he hasn't won the big one. He hasn't won
Mhm.
gold. He's has a good team. Obviously, goaltending can be kind of iffy sometimes, but he has another top five player on his team. So it's not his team per se, but he just hasn't come through in the big one. Some game sevens, some gold medal games. He has that overtime winner in the Four Nations, but like you said, I think people are going to forget about that overtime. So I think he's going to win one eventually, whether it's next year or when he's 37. But he's a loser until you win, and he's a. I think that's going to be the case with him. I think he might be another Ovechkin thing where he just wins later on. Everyone kind of forgets. Oh yeah, like he choked in the
Yeah.
big ones, but
Yeah,
hockey's a team
Eiserman was the
sport.
same
But
way and then won 3, so it does happen. It does.
Bork,
Bork, there you go. Bork, long time. Did you know that he won a cup
um,
with a different team, Dan? Did you know that?
that's what I heard. That's what I heard. But
Oft forgotten.
yeah, but yeah, it's tough. And also, one thing you look at, there's some question on the effort from the guys that were on the ice for overtime.
Yep.
When you look at the tape, Makar not back checking Hughes, who ended up scoring. Um, People think they were cherry picking. So people just credit to Matthews. Matthews did things offensively, but he did a lot of things defensively that didn't pop up on the sheet that he was focused on that helped his team win gold. Where you say, look at McKinnon. I think he was the only one on Team Canada that had a negative plus minus on the team. So
Mm.
you look at the effort. Obviously, everyone wants to be the golden goal, and everyone wants to score goals, but I'm not sure Team Canada, if there was some questions with their effort in overtime. You certainly could see on the tape where you think maybe some guys wanted to just end it and be the one that scores a goal instead of playing defense and stopping Jack Hughes from that golden goal.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a little bit of that. I'm sure there was, especially with how much we value possession and everything. And in overtime, it becomes way more offensively driven than defensively sound. Um, Dan, did you know it was a double gold?
I heard.
How about
Shout
those
out
women?
USA.
How about those freaking women,
Dominant.
man? What was it?
Dominant.
33-2, 33-2 in the tournament. And by the way, still needed overtime to beat Canada in the gold medal. I mean, it's tough for me looking at just the gold medal games, what the best USA goal at the tournament was. You know, it could be Jack Hughes. That was the biggest. You know, it could be Matt Boldy's unbelievable opener in the gold medal game. And Megan Keller to win the gold in overtime might have been the sickest one of them all.
I think
It's
it
a great time
was.
to be an American.
And the picture that came from of her celebrating with the Canadian girl on the ice, like with her hands on her head, that's an all time picture right there. The girls dominated, and I was getting a little nervous at the end. How can you dominate the tournament like this? And then in the gold medal game, you're down 1-0. So I was getting a little nervous, but they were the best team in that tournament, and they pulled through when it mattered most. That goal at the end, just I think that made it just that much better. If you won 5-0, yeah, you would have beat Canada, but doing it in a heartbreaking fashion, I think that sends a message to Canada a little bit more. So uh, you look at the goals they had. Obviously, the Hughes golden goal, the Keller golden goal. Last year at Worlds, Tage Thompson had a golden goal. Teddy Stiga had a World Juniors
World
golden
Juniors,
goal.
yeah.
In juniors, you got to ask the question, man. Is hockey the U.S.'s sport now?
I mean, man, it's tough to argue right now. It is tough to argue right now. And like we talked about it with the National Development Program, like this has been coming. This has been coming for some time. Is hockey the most popular sport in this country? No, it's not. But they are starting to develop just as well, if not better right now, than the country that is the best, and that's Canada, right? Like that where it is number one. And that program has obviously so much to do with it the last 10, 15 years. I think it's like 25 years old, but really you didn't hear about it till the last 10, 12 years. And look, gold in the men's, gold in the women's, world championships, which the U.S. never takes seriously ever. They hadn't won it in 90 years. World juniors, like when we were growing up, like they were just barely starting to win one or two. They go back to back. Like it, you have to talk about, and I know this is different because Russia hasn't participated in the last couple of things, right? But when you talk about the powers in international hockey right now, it is U.S. and Canada, and then everybody else. With all due respect to Finland and Sweden, who Sweden won the World Juniors, like those are still great hockey nations for sure. But right now, it is the U.S. and Canada and everybody else. And the U.S. beat Canada twice. So, like, it's tough to argue that the United States of America is not the best hockey nation in the world right now.
Yeah,
God, that
I
feels good
agree.
to say.
We've been waiting a while to say that, and it was one of those scenarios where it's like we've made gold medal games before. Like that's not a shocker for us. Like
Ben the
we've been there
bridesmaid.
before. We
Ben the
have been the
bridesmaid, man.
bridesmaid.
Yep.
We have Be careful with those words that may trigger some people in
Yeah, I don't want to
Edmonton.
trigger
But
anybody. Yeah.
um, it's just finally good to win. It's good. It feels good to be dual golds. I'll admit it. I'll go
It's
on.
not bad, huh?
Uh, it's a good feeling, and I think to for Canadians fans, this is their sport, and we just kind of took it from them, and they might take it back, but they have to wait 4 more years for that, probably.
Well, I
I'm
mean,
not
let's
sure.
let's let's not be rash here, Dan. It's only been 4,300 days since Canada has beaten the US in the Olympics, okay?
And
All
how
right.
many days has it been for the U.S. team?
Give it some time.
Four,
Yeah, 4
4 day
or 8,
drought.
depending on how you kind of do it. If it was 8 in the
Okay, so
morning.
we have a 4 day drought. They have a 4,300 day drought. So
Mm,
um, you gotta feel for them.
you got it.
But
This is tough, man.
but we've been
It
going.
kind of broke them a little bit.
We broke them, but we've been through it too, so they could deal with it. But
Yeah.
now they have to watch a golden goal for forever now.
Oh
Now
no,
they
they
could
told me, Dan. They told me, Dan, there's only one golden goal. That's I saw a lot of that, and I was like, oh, okay, great.
apparently
It's like that meme,
apparently
like the 3 pictures, the cartoons, and like one guy puts the big thumbs up outside the like. Great, man.
yeah.
Your golden goal, fantastic. 16 years ago, beautiful.
And we'll get to be golden for 4 more years at least. And it's kind of cool to think like we're probably gonna have pretty much the same team in 4 years.
Good
I
well,
don't
yeah.
see too much turnover. We have a few people on the team that are in their early 30s that won't be on the team again. It'll be interesting. Hellebuck's 32, I believe. So hopefully he's still performing at a high level. We see goalies in their mid 30s make the Olympics before. Like Bennington was there. He played
Mhm.
pretty good. Made a big save in overtime, but couldn't save the next one. But we'll have predominantly the same team. Obviously, I thought there was a lot more pressure on this team this year just because everyone was in their primes. Like, would you rather Kachuk, McAvoy, Matthews when they're 28 years old or 32 years old? Obviously 28, but I'm confident going to the next one. Like, I think we'll have pretty much the same team. Canada will have some turnover too, but they'll still have the big guys that they have. They'll just be 4 years older. So I think who knows what will happen with Russia. I think Russia will be in the tournament too. Sweden's been doing great. Um, Questionable coaching decisions. I think that coach might
Oh,
not be back next
yeah.
tournament. He might not be back next tournament. I think everyone
Jesper
that was on
Bratt was
that
like the
team,
best player on the ice for them in the 3rd period against the US, didn't play a shift in the first 2 periods. Like, what are we doing,
but
man? I mean, I'm not gonna correct him in the moment, but Jesus, man. That
yeah,
that
but
that whole thing, I mean, Stud talked about it last week. That was a guessing game for Sweden. Yeah.
yeah, but are you confident heading into 2030? It's confirmed they are in the Olympics. NHL
Yep.
players are playing in
Yep. Yep.
2030.
And I think we're gonna
So
have a World Cup before then. I think the NHL
hopefully,
is
yeah,
evident
maybe
that.
2028. Yeah,
I
hopefully.
hope so. I think that'd be great. It'll be interesting. I am interested to see how many of these core guys go here. We did see a projection that's already out. I love this kind of a way too early projection here. And there's some names where I'm like, okay, like Adam Fox didn't make the team this time, but you expect a 32-year-old Adam Fox to make it. I doubt that. But I think there might be let me put it this way. I think what's so interesting about US and Canada is how they both have a lot of young talent that didn't make this trip, right? Obviously, Celebrini did. Technically, Jackson Lacombe did. But we're talking about guys like Lane Hudson who didn't make this trip. Cole Caulfield, who will be in the prime of his career the next time around. He's still 25
Will
years
Smith,
old.
Ryan Leonard.
Robertson's 26. Yeah, Will Smith, Leonard. There's all these guys. And for Canada, obviously, on top of Celebrini, you're looking at Bedard and then McKenna and, Keaton Verhoff. And there's all kinds of that next generation that we're already starting to see sprout. It's fun to watch, but as you point out, this is a lot of the same core, right? You got 2 Kachucks, you got Matthews, you got Eichel, you've got Matt Boldy in there. Hellebuck can still go 36. I mean, that's young
Jack
for a
Hughes will be
goalie.
28.
Jack Hughes will be 28. I'm interested in this this blue line. I love Werenski. Is he still the same guy at 32? We just talked about for a lot of the episode how good McAvoy's been. Is he the same guy at 32? I do think Quinn Hughes is probably the same guy at 30. I don't think he's slowing down at that point. The dude's an absolute machine.
He'll be a Devil in 2030, right?
Yeah, of course. If he's not a Bruin, of course. Man, the Devils messed that up. But hey, what are you gonna do? It would be very funny if they had to trade Luke to get Quinn. That's a random thought I had the other day. That would be really funny if they had to do some salary dumping and get the 9
No,
million AAV off the books from Luke Hughes.
no. Imagine how bad they messed up so far at the New Jersey Devils. Imagine they had to trade Jack and Luke to the Wilds to get them all together.
Well,
Get
Jack,
back.
you got your wish. I got good news and bad news. Quinn Hughes is a New Jersey Devil. The bad news is you are not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly though, like the way this tournament's gone and how fun you could tell. I mean, they're having the time of their lives playing together. They haven't played
Yeah.
together in almost 8 years or 10 years. So I think some people are murmuring like, do you think Quinn Hughes just doesn't sign with the Wild with how much fun he's playing with Jack and just signs with the Devils? It's still
I
a
mean,
possibility. I can don't
yeah.
put it past him, but
Yeah.
that would
Like
suck for Wild fans.
it would suck because he's in a great situation with the Wild, in a better situation than the Devils are and probably will be because I don't know. The Devils usually can't get out of their own way the last decade.
And
The Wild
speaking
are a
of the
great
Hughes
place to be.
trade, too, someone that might be on this team, William, he could be on this. He'll
Good
be I think
point.
24 in 2030.
Yeah.
So that's one person to keep an eye on. But yeah, Canada has a lot of young guys coming up. We saw Celebrini. He was on the first line as a 19-year-old. He had a huge impact on that tournament. They have a lot of other guys too, like Bedard, Schaefer. Who knows what McKenna will be
Schaefer,
like?
yeah,
But
good one. Good point.
um,
People
but
were
the U.S.
were
has some guys
thinking
too.
Schaefer could have been there this year, which would have been a stretch, but there were some Canadians who thought that. Uh,
Yeah.
Steve
Do you
Bouillon.
think
Now that you say that, I think Steve Bouillon is on this team.
Do you think
Like
Schaefer stops Boldy on that breakaway goal? Because their top
because
line couldn't.
the two best that was crazy, right? That's Canada's
Yeah,
top pair with Makar and Taves. And not only are they Canada's top pair, they play together. They play together all the time. Like they're the only pairing probably in the whole tournament that doesn't have to worry about chemistry. And Matt Boldy just goes fucking right through him, just right through him.
that's a
Lacrosse
tough
move,
game for
just right through him.
Tays. You
Yeah,
got
it's
that
brutal.
happened to you with Boldy, and then obviously we know the rest with Hellebuck. But that's a tough game for Tays.
Maybe it's up there as the greatest save I've ever seen, especially considering the
If you
stakes.
add
Like
in if you add in the stakes, I think so. Uh,
there's some good Tim
I know
Thomas
Tim.
ones to pick
Yeah, as I
from.
say, Tim Thomas had some good ones, but while
And
we're
the
on the
paddle
topic, like
save is Eastern Conference Finals. That was one goal game. Anyway, yeah.
as Boston Bruins fans, we've won a Stanley Cup. We've won a gold medal now. How do you compare the two? Because the players say it, I'm like, yeah, it does make sense. Like you're celebrating as a country. Like it's a lot different. Like you're celebrating
Yeah,
with people from Philadelphia. You're celebrating with Panthers fans. Like it's just. And I know when I was on Twitter, talking defending Matthew Tkachuk with his bridesmaid comments, like Panthers fans were following us and liking our stuff. I'm like, this has never happened before in my life. It just kind of shows like you unite a whole country, and it's just something you're not used to. You're used to battling other cities and
super tribal.
showboating
Yeah,
to New York fans, but now it's like, hey, like we're a team. Like we just won this thing as a whole. Like all the bars in every country, you see bars from Miami, St. Louis, Chicago, New York, Boston, all rooting for the same team. Like it doesn't happen too often. So
yeah.
that was special.
It's definitely it's cool. It's more different than better, I guess, because like I would do anything for the Bruins to win the cup again. Like it's the coolest thing ever. But to your point, like it is very nice to not have to like I mean we kind of dunked on the Canadians online and stuff, but like to just be in a moment where no matter kind of where you come from in this country, you're rooting for the same team. And what you get more so with something like this than you do with the Stanley Cup is you do get a little bit of this with the Cup, but what you get more of in the Olympics is people who are not big time hockey fans tuning in. And when you win, it's great, right? When you win, everyone's kind of sharing in it. And I definitely saw that. And to see, by the way, some of these videos from the bars around the country for an 8 a.m. game, just on the East Coast, by the way, an 8 a.m. game was unbelievable, dude. Like this was a real moment. Like this was a real moment. This was something that we'd been chasing for almost 50 years, Like it was different and very cool. And very cool. And I'm wondering, by the way, to kind of link it to the Bruins here, I'm wondering if they do something on Thursday night because they're playing Columbus, and the beauty of this is you have 4 Olympians across the 2 teams, but none of them played for Canada. And you've got 3 gold medalists. Shout out bronze medalist Henry Jokiharju. I should say medaling Olympians, because they've got some Swedish guys too. But you've got Zach Werenski, Charlie McAvoy, Jeremy Swayman. Like, can you do something before the game? Can they skate around with their gold medals, like with a USA flag? Like, you can kind of build onto this. The women's game, you've got Boston versus Montreal in the Garden next month. It's supposed to be sold out. It's probably going to be the biggest crowd ever to see a women's hockey game. Like, it's much cooler that the U.S., the nation of the fans that are in the building, has won the gold medal. And, you look at the Fleet. Megan Keller plays for the Fleet. The goalie, Frankel, plays for the Fleet. Like, you could unify fan bases once again, not the Montreal one, but, Boston and Columbus tomorrow night. You could do the same thing. So it's freaking cool, man. It's freaking cool.
Yeah.
And like, it's cool when the basketball team wins it, but like, they literally win it every time. Like, it's not even a big deal. It's really not. But this was a big deal and is
Yeah.
a big deal.
I think they should do what you said. I think they should do some
Right?
ceremonies. It doesn't happen that often. It has happened for the men in 46 years. And
Yeah.
I'm not saying this in a way where they should keep celebrating to showboat and rub it in Canada's face, even though kind of for that a little bit, but not that's not the point. But we talked about earlier, the hockey isn't the most popular sport in the United States. It's the fourth, and if this is a great opportunity to keep continuing growing the game, like you said, people that aren't watching hockey are watching the game just because it's an important game. You have a bunch of young people who may not be playing hockey yet that saw that and start playing hockey because they want to be like Jack Hughes. So this is a great opportunity. NHL normally doesn't like growing the game. They manage to screw that up
They
in any
really
way
do like
they
to go
any
against
way
it.
possible. But just these small things, like you said, like a little ceremony here for the men's Olympians. Definitely get that Yogi Haru ceremony in for bronze. We
Yes,
can't
I'd
forget
like the
about that.
video. Yeah,
Maybe we'll do
for
that one
sure.
first.
But even something like,
And
yeah, just have them skate around like with an American flag and just let them get an ovation,
yeah,
because like everybody in the building tomorrow night watch the gold medal game. Like everybody,
there will
you know what I
be
mean?
a
And they're
lot
all
of
American.
McAvoy USA jerseys in the building.
Yeah,
And if we keep doing this, maybe we'll surpass baseball, which is the third most popular
maybe,
sport.
maybe the
Um,
WNBA. Who knows? Who knows, man?
yeah.
Who
So
knows?
yeah,
It's
grow
awesome.
the game.
Grow the game. Grow it, baby. Yeah. I would love if they did some sort of ceremony for that. That'd be really cool. Yeah, and if like it's great for the players, but I think even more so for the fans, of like, hey, I know we're back to the Bruins, but we know you guys are still buzzing off all of this. And you're right, there'll be plenty of USA jerseys, 25s, in the crowd. Um, although I wouldn't mind a Werenski jersey. That dude, what a freaking player. Talk about a guy
Just
who needs
say
to
if
get into
you
the
couldn't buy a
playoffs.
McAvoy one, would you go Warinsky? Like I was thinking, obviously maybe one of the Hughes brothers.
Yeah, I'd go Quinn Hughes. He's
Yeah,
so good, man. He's so good.
Hellbuck
I
would
love
be
Quinn
popular
Hughes.
one, but
Yeah.
the new Jim
And
Craig.
speaking of like the whole, kind of carryover Bruins fans, USA fans, 2 championships in our lifetime. And I think what we've learned is, some teams, they don't need a stellar goalie. The Blackhawks had a dynasty without a stellar goalie. Bruins USA fan crossover here. You need like a superhuman alien goalie to win a championship. Like that's what you need, man. I think Thomas was a 940 in the entirety of the 2011 Stanley Cup playoffs, and Hellebuck was a 956 in this tournament. Like, you need something otherworldly from your goalie if you're a Bruins Team USA fan, if you want to win anything in hockey. I think that's what we've
So
really learned.
you know what also we need? We need Jordan Binnington not to be playing in TD Garden for us to win that game.
Yes. Yes.
If that
Yes.
gold medal game was at TD Garden, we would
Screwed.
McDavid or McKinnon would have had a golden goal, or probably would have scored on one of the 10 opportunities they had in the second half of that game. But yeah,
And you know what?
Jordan Binnington.
When you don't have any Bruins on Team Canada, nobody's pulling a Nathan Horton. Nobody's bringing the Garden Ice to Italy with them. Getting that through TSA and bringing that to Italy with them to put on the rink there.
Put in Bennington's
your
crease.
loss, baby.
Yeah. You feel bad for Marchand at all? He's not gonna get a gold.
No. I mean,
he won a cup.
Yeah, he's won 2 Stanley Cups. He won the World Cup of Hockey, which I know is not the same thing, but I think he scored the overtime winner, right? Or the late game winner. I think it was what it was. So no, I mean, dude's got a Hall of Fame career. Has won a couple of cups. He's gonna have his number retired in Boston. No, I don't feel too bad. That was a guy who like that game. I almost felt bad for how he did in that game. Like he couldn't live with the pace of it. Like it was too fast. And I don't know what his time on ice was, but he did have a good scoring chance, a backdoor scoring chance. But he and like Sam Bennett and Reinhart in particular, Reinhart played like 12 minutes. Like those guys just couldn't live with the pace of the game. They had to keep, I think they played McDavid like 24 minutes, 23 minutes, something crazy. They were working him the whole knockout round. So no, I don't really feel bad.
So the players in his age group that are 37, they kind of got screwed over the most by, the gap between 2014 and 2026 when we took the break from the Olympics, where he would have been on the team 4 years ago in 2022, maybe in 2018 too, but he kind of missed out on a few Olympics, and this was his last go at it. So he's under contract for 5 more years though in Florida, so maybe we'll see him in 2030.
Yeah. And I'll tell you who I also don't feel bad for is Sidney Crosby. Like, I mean, and it's not because I don't like Sidney Crosby. I mean, he's one of the greatest icons in the history of the sport. He's a player that, I mean, no hot take here, anyone would take on their team even now. But like, that's a dude who has won 3 Stanley Cups, who has won 2 gold medals already, scored an overtime winner to win a gold medal on home ice. Like, it sucks that he was hurt, and that's how it went down. But do I like feel really bad for Sidney Crosby? I'm sorry. No, I don't. It sucks that he couldn't play. You'd rather have him be out there and lose, I guess. But no, man, like he's won a lot, dude. He's won a lot. And he's going to be, a top 5 player ever to play the game, So no, I'm not like gutted for Sidney Crosby here. I think
we don't feel bad for him. We don't feel bad for him, but we acknowledge what they're going through.
Yes. Yeah, I'm listening, I'm here. Yeah. I'm present. Okay, I understand the assignment, but no, I don't really feel bad. And I don't feel bad for Macklin Celebrini because I think he will get one. Kid's friggin' 19
he's got
years
like
old.
4 more goes at it.
Yeah, if you give Canada 4 shots, like he's going to win one. And man, what a player. I was like, I would have been devastated if he ended up scoring like the game winner for Canada. I love Mac, man. That would have really sucked. But tell you what, we've got an episode next week. That's right before the trade deadline. Well, how about we talk trade deadline stuff then? I think that's fair. There's nothing like, there's also nothing like about to happen right now. If we had done an episode in the middle of the Rasmus Anderson saga, like we couldn't have avoided it. Like it was about to happen. We've heard some names, right? Falk, DeBrusk. Wow. Ristolainen. There's a new one with the Blackhawks with Donato and Connor Murphy that I think is actually really interesting. But there's nothing too pressing. Do you want to do the DeBrusk one real quick, actually? Do you want to just do DeBrusk here? I got a couple minutes.
You know what? Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Jake DeBrusk. What do you think? Bruin?
I'm a no. I don't like the contract. I don't like the contract. And I don't think I feel like Geeky's the new DeBrusk kinda. And I'd rather have Geeky than DeBrusk. If you put DeBrusk on his team, I feel like we have a logjam already. We have a bunch of young guys coming up. That maybe it's not right now, except for Hagens, but I don't want to create further log jams with 7-year contracts.
Yeah.
We've the last year and a half. I know he can score goals. Like scoring goals is something we need, but I like the future of this team. I like having flexibility, and I like having cap space, which Don Sweeney hates.
Yeah.
But I like having flexibility. I like the young guys we have in the works right now. I'd rather just let that play its course than get us ourselves into another 7-year contract with a player who's entering 30. He puts up some goals, but there were some, he's got benched before. I'm not sure how he will fit into Sturm's system. Sturm's not afraid to bench him, and Jake DeBrusk doesn't like getting benched. Who knows how that will go?
His posse doesn't
But
like it, right?
yeah,
DeBrusk's
you know,
camp.
I would love another 27 goal scorer on this team, but I just don't know. I don't think it's worth it. I think it's
Yeah. Uh, It's a guy who, look, the numbers are not terrible. 13, 15 for 28 points in 56 games, a point every other game. Stop me if you've heard that before with Jake DeBrusk. He's doing it for the worst team in the NHL. So kudos. Kudos to him. The shooting percentage is low, 8%. And stop me if you've heard this one before, Dan. He's kind of a power play merchant. 11 of his 13 goals and exactly half of his points have come on the power play. 11 of his 13 goals have come on the power play. Again, I know this is a bad team in Vancouver. I know they're awful, but that is a huge amount. At that point, are you like, and the Bruins have a top 3 power play in the league. You can always get better, but like clearly that's not your biggest need here. In fact, the other special teams unit is one that you have more of a need for. But like if that's what you're going to get out of DeBrusk offensively, with the contract of 5 more years at $5.5 million, which isn't crazy under the new salary cap, but is not really what you want to be tied to for a 40-point guy. Wouldn't you rather just keep Arvidsson at that point?
Yeah, I would keep Arvidsson, who's probably going to be a little bit cheaper and less term on there. He's already proven he could play here. The guys like him. I think Sturm really likes him as well. I think he's their third best 5-on-5 player. So
That's right.
at that point, I would just keep Arvidsson, who may be a little bit cheaper, and might be a little bit cheaper and less term on it. Who knows? I wonder what he's. I'm kind of curious what he'd be asking for. He's 30. He's turning 33 this offseason, so is he looking for a 5-year deal? Is he looking for a 3-year deal? How much is he gonna want? Probably maybe if he plays well, he might want a little bit of a bump. He's making 4 million, so
Mhm.
I'd rather at this point just keep Arvidsson if it's coming to that point. I think he's doing the same thing DeBrusk does. He just doesn't complain about things as much as DeBrusk does.
Yeah. And I think Arvidsson is kind of a tougher one to trade than we think. Because if you're looking to pull off a deal like this, where you're looking to get, I don't want DeBrusk, but let's say you're looking for a scoring winger with term, right? And you're getting him from a seller in Vancouver. Arvidsson has a full no trade clause. Like he has to approve where he's going. And so you're kind of limited to trading him to a contender, which you could do, right? Even though you're probably going to be, or you could be a playoff team yourself. We're going to learn a lot about it in these 4 games before the trade deadline, because the Bruins have a tough schedule. Court Lalonde actually had a great little note that they have 6 back-to-backs in this unofficial second half of the season. 3 of them have traveled. 2 of them start with Tampa as your first team on a back-to-back. So you've got a tough schedule the rest of the way. There's no guarantee there's a playoffs here. And I don't think there's any guarantee that you can move Arvidsson in the deal that you want to move him for. And as we look at DeBrusk, like, yeah, Vancouver might eat some of that salary, but is it still worth it? Like, he's the same player that he was when he was with you, that you let walk a year and a half ago. He's still putting up a stink when he gets benched. You got a coach for you fired, a good coach. And yeah, the AAV might not be that bad, especially if Vancouver eats some, but you've got 5 years tied to him into his mid 30s. Like, I'm not seeing. I know you need a scoring winger, but I'm not seeing how Jake DeBrusk is fitting that mold. I'm not seeing how Jake DeBrusk, let Don Sweeney saying, yeah, Jake DeBrusk's a part of our next contending team in 2 years. It kind of baffles me that this is even a rumor.
There's actually a poll taken on Twitter of if Bruins fans would want DeBrusk back, and I think it was majority, not majority, but I think 55% of them said they did. So if you believe it or not, it's kind of a
That might be
toss. It's a toss up, but
the exposure bias to the audience. That might be a
it could
lot of
be.
young ladies on Twitter who really like Jake DeBrusk's looks.
He
You know,
had
he's a
some big
handsome
moments
guy.
for us. I think there's some sentimental
Did.
things going on. He showed up in the
That's probably it.
playoffs.
Yeah,
He's
he
the
scored in
Toronto
some
Maple
big
Leaf
games.
killer. So like there are some sentimental feelings to DeBrusk because he did have some good moments for us, and then there were some bad moments. But um, yeah, I think you just stay away. And then plus, we're not even talking about what's it going to take to get him. Like, is it going to be a dump? I don't know. You probably have to switch up some salary. Trade Middlestat possibly.
Mhm.
What are they going to want for him? What can they get for him? And you know, I think when you look at this Bruins roster, like, where does he fit? But if you start trading some people, if you trade Arvidsson or you trade Middlestat in that deal, then some things open up where you're like, oh, okay, maybe he could fit there. But
Mhm.
I don't know. I would stay away. I just don't like the contract.
Yeah, and to your point about what they're going to ask, like, Vancouver, let's say Vancouver's willing to eat 1.5 AAV for the next couple of years or whatever it is. And so you're paying $4 million a year. Vancouver is looking at it as a guy who's 29, and he just scored 30 goals last year. And you're trying to get into the playoffs. With that being presented, that's like first round pick territory. And that's probably on the high end, but I think you'd be certifiably insane to trade any first round pick for Jake DeBrusk, even if it's 3 years from now. I think you're crazy to trade that for him, or honestly, even a second. And we'll talk about this more in the next episode, but like when it comes to this trade deadline, like the thing I keep coming back to, Dan, is like, what are the things the Bruins need? They need a top 4 right shot defenseman, and they need a scoring winger. Like, it would be great to have like a 30 goal scoring winger. Like, that's like they need an infusion of offense on the wing for the next couple of years. Those guys are expensive. Both of those players are expensive. And both of those types of players are much more available in the summer than they are in the early spring. This could be I've come down to it could be a quiet deadline for the Bruins. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah, I honestly, if it's just like a peak trade, like that wouldn't surprise me. And I think I wouldn't be too upset if they just trade peak for a second, if they could get a
Second?
second for him or a third. Like for me, I'm like, they didn't do a bad move. They got a little bit more draft capital and they can make more moves in the summer. To me, I'd be like, okay, that's not bad. It's one thing if because Bruins fans notice, there's one thing of buying at the deadline, then losing the first round. It's another thing where it's like, hey, we exceeded expectations this year. We made a good run. We didn't like go all in, but we still made the playoffs and then we lost. Like that's a totally different feeling right there. And if we end up doing that, I know in the beginning of the year I wanted to prefer a high draft pick, another blue chip prospect to pair up with Hagens, but we may have that with the Toronto pick. But I kind of accepted that, this pick's going to be between, 15 and 21. And let's see, get some guys some experience and get Sturm some experience in the playoffs too. But yeah, it's one thing to go all in and lose in the playoffs, but if you just exceed expectations and lose, that's something I'm kind of okay with right now, as long as we don't trade things to get there.
Yeah, dude, we some fans hate to say it at the moment, but this is house money. This year's house money. We've made our turn. We were so ugly earlier this season, Dan, when we said the Bruins maybe should just tank. I mean, God, we burned bridges over that. People were
Yeah.
so upset with that take. And still, even being in a playoff spot and how fun this team has been with, a little less than 2 months left of the season, tanking or some form of tanking is still not the craziest option for this team. It sucks. But again, we look at that schedule and you look at this Atlantic division and you'll see what the other teams do that are buying in the division. Because I think we will have some teams within the division that are buying much harder than the Bruins are. It might not be the year that they make the playoffs. And that's okay because everything else is going really well for the Bruins right now. And so let's not panic buy into something because the Jacobs family missed having the playoff gate last year. There will be something unexpected, but I don't think it's going to be Jake DeBrusk.
Hope not.
Anyway, Dan, you got any more thoughts before we get out of here? Columbus,
episode 21. I'll squeeze that in there.
Yeah, real quick. We got to do that.
Episode 21, favorite Bruin to wear 21, Louis Eriksson. He's honestly, I don't know. He's top 2 for me.
The Louis Eriksson episode.
We Louis Eriksson episode. We traded Tyler Seguin for him, so he must have had a great career for us. So he's definitely one of our top players in Bruins history because who wouldn't? Who could exceed that? But
speaking of a great winger who then signed a big contract with the Canucks, Jake DeBrusk, Louis Eriksson.
That's where they go. Honorary mention for me is former 15-goal scorer in 56 games played, Nick Ritchie.
I think scored the first goal of the season one year.
I think he started off hot. But Nick Ritchie, former Bruin, 15-goal scorer. He was so good that we had to sign his brother Brett. But he only played for us for like 20 games. But yeah,
had to get that
Nick
magic.
Ritchie.
Yeah. Bam. I can't think of another like iconic one. Another 21. Lysell, I think, wears 21. Is that right? In Providence? No,
Lysell.
Patra, I think, wore 21 in Providence, 51 in Boston. I think that's what it is. I think Lysell wears 23.
What about Joe Thornton age?
Joe Thornton age, 21. Who am I missing?
Is there? I wasn't saying missing. Is there anyone?
You're just throwing it out there. You're just like, is there anyone from that era? I thought you had someone in mind.
No. Usually there is someone. I forget, like a Sergei Samsonov or something.
Yeah, I'm even trying to go back to like those late 80s, early 90s teams that I watched to fall asleep all the time on YouTube. And I can't think of a 21. And none from that like really good era of Bruins hockey or late odds, early 2010s.
I could get a lot of hate for this because I don't want to be wrong.
Ferentz. That's the one.
Ferentz was a good one. When I was looking up 21, I thought I saw it. Did Glenn Murray change his number at all?
He could have. Yeah, he's mostly 27.
I thought I saw him I saw him on that list. But I know he's 27, but for some reason I thought he was on that list. Maybe he had a number change.
Talk about a Bruin,
I wasn't alive for that.
Glenn Murray. Should get him on for episode 27.
Well, yeah, we'll reach out.
Could have been this one. Potentially. 21. Let me just check it real quick because I mean, fuck, we've already gone over. 21. All right. I gotta scroll all the way there. This is efficient. Andrew Ferentz. Don Marcotte. That's a good one. JVR, who's still having a good year. By the way, the Red Wings, the thing I was talking about, the old guys, they were talking about, oh man, you're getting a great year out of Patrick Kane and James Van Riemsdyk. And I'm like, yep, James Van Riemsdyk's good for half a good season. God love him, man. He can give you a good half a season. By the way, Glenn Murray is on this list, 21.
What years was he wearing that?
Doesn't tell me, unfortunately. But it must have been early in his career.
Like I thought it was going crazy.
93, that era. Anyway, shout out to Louis Eriksson. Shout out to Nick Ritchie, who I think scored the first goal of the Bruins 1920 season, 2019.
Shout out Team USA.
Shout out Team USA, baby. World champs.
Shout out Garden Level Pod.
Shout out to all those of you listening, especially you Canadians who are waiting for the trade talk and just gritted your teeth right through it. I should put in the description when you're allowed to start listening with like the 57-minute mark or whatever it is. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for following us on Twitter and TikTok. And if you don't already, what in the hell are you doing? Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll have some more Bruins trade talks next week. We can get really in the weeds with it next week. Let me know what you think about Jake DeBrusk and about American hockey as a whole. We'll see you on the next edition. That's Dan Conlon. I'm Cam Stewart. We'll see you next time on the Garden Level Podcast.